Make sure you can hear me. You want reality? You're going to get reality. I hope you're laughing by the time I'm done. I told you I opened the business in March 2019, a narcissistic abuse recovery life coach. In Malton, I was on Netherwood Road. You call everybody now. Obviously, we're starting with what you've been doing to people, forcing them and lying about them. That was a police officer, right? Who pled guilty? You're going to worry about everything, especially money, right? And the way I look. First of all, I don't know how many news stories I watched. That was yesterday, right? Why I couldn't watch it yesterday? So, he lost his job in 2021 at Pearson Airport as a ramp agent to start with, right? He lost his job, so he was capable of working. He had a job after COVID, whatever the case was, right? If we're going to find out why he lost his job, first of all. Okay? We're going to find out how long he was working at Pearson Airport as a ramp agent. It said a passerby called because there was a dog and he had a knife. He was homeless in a park. Then, when the police showed up, he used the knife to do what? Cut himself? And he's arguing that what? They shouldn't have tasered him. They shouldn't have shot him. They should have had a mental health worker show up and do what? Now, after court and trial and whatever it is, the police officer pled guilty, 2 of them, whatever the case is. You go look it up. You want to talk about me and reality? You got it. Was it his dog? Why didn't the dog have a leash? Why did he have a knife? Are you allowed to have a knife on you in public? Is that a law? You can't have a knife walking around? You're going to go over it slowly after, sure. Why not? You said me. July 15th, 2019, the police were called, and I ended up in Kothra shelter for the first time in my life ever. I started the business in March 2019. You want to go over why I went back to Kothra in 2019? November? Who called the police and what they called for? Because I'm still waiting to hear what it was that they called for. Nobody ever told me. Are you counting? That's 2 calls so far. We didn't get to why I was arrested and spent the night in jail, a 6-month diversion program with Canadian Mental Health. We didn't get to why I spent 15 days in the hospital, the psychiatric ward, when a 72-hour evaluation is 3 days. That's 3 police calls so far. There's way more to go, right? There's a whole of 2020 before we get to 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and then today, just this story. This is Toronto police, not even Peel, right? Not even mental health. Not court. Victims, which one is it? I'm just reading from the news articles I heard. Quotes. The taser further escalated the situation. Its use was unnecessary and disproportionate. The taser further escalated the situation. He had a knife with the dog was why somebody called the police. Then, when they showed up, he pulled the knife to himself. Tasering him further escalated the situation. What did you want them to do? Let him slit his... Go, let me hear. Which one did you want them to do? It said there was no justification for the officer to fire. That was after they tasered him. So if a police officer tasers you, what's normal to you to do? Stop? Normal. If a police officer tasers you. No justification for the officer to fire the gun. So what is justified for an officer to fire? Well, if they let him do whatever he wanted, what would happen to him? You went over. One was an officer in training. Which one? 53 days. He was what? She was what? Like I said, you're going to go over it. So don't worry if I mistook it. I'll correct it. All of you, how many have YouTube channels doing what? I can't talk? I can't make a video? Oh, you're going to tell me why. Yeah, how many police calls did I make? And what did... How many of these men? And what did you tell me? You're going to tell me. Right this minute. He said he had the knife in the case because it was for cooking. You going to show me what it looked like? Where he got it from? The advocate. Who is the advocate? What group? Where's the advocate from? Yeah, all legal, all in court, right? Everybody. This is a joke. So who is the advocate? Well, can they at least put that on the news so people know? They mentioned about the mental health crisis, right? A non-police, non-lethal response. So again, if he was there with a knife, you don't want the police to show up. You don't want a lethal response. So what did you want? If he had the knife on himself, you wanted who to show up and do what? Put a net over him? No, I'm not joking. They tasered him. You are going to explain this. What was his mental health crisis? So it's not like he called, right, for mental health help. If he called and they showed up and did that, isn't that a different story? A passerby called because they saw him with a knife and a dog. So where was his mental health crisis? He didn't call for mental health help, right? So what is the advocate talking about mental health crisis? Non-police, non-lethal. Well, explain. The community crisis response team. Who calls them? The person in crisis? And I explained again, you said A passerby called because he was with the dog and a knife. So what makes sense? You want to go over the reason I ended up in the hospital for 15 days? Let me hear what it is. You've been calling me crazy for how long? Why shouldn't I get to sue you? Yeah, show me. How many of them ended up dead? You can ask them now? Yeah, go back to the building on Morningstar up the street here. Was he schizophrenic? Did he have medication? What was it? He's dead, right? Was there one knife? Was there two knives? You went over how many rubber bullets, the rifles, the autopsy? What happened? Why did they release him? If he was on medication, that was how many hours later? If they released him from the hospital, that was how many hours when he ended up dead? I would like you to explain it. That's the same hospital I was in, Etobicoke, right? Who diagnosed him with schizophrenia? What if they gave him medication and he wasn't schizophrenic? What do you think would happen to you if you're on medication and you weren't schizophrenic? They showed up. They said he was scared of the police. How many times? They had a translator translating. What happened? Where did they come into the balcony? Who was that? You want to go over? That was June. I was in that same hospital in September. You want to go over? Let's go over how you get into the hospital, how they admit you. How do you get in there? The psychiatric ward of Etobicoke. How do you get in there? Asked over and over again. Where did it start with the mental health? Now you're with the rapid response again. How do you not know when these dates are? The advocate said, what did he say? Something about it's going to continue until what? The police learn what to do in what situation? You said me, right? I'm still waiting to hear how many false calls, what they were for. So, yeah, I'm screaming at you. I'm getting mad, right? When you go and off people, why do you do that? I forgot. All the violence, why do you go and beat people? I forgot. What's your reason? Why don't you go to jail? I forgot. You'll have to remind me why you get to do things to people and you don't go to jail. You forgot my dog is dead, right? Maybe you can tell him that one. Because of what you guys did, had me in the homeless shelter. I still don't know where he went, how he died, anything. I'm living in Malton now, on Gorway, in an apartment. And this is my life? Are you going to sit here today and tell me about what? He was doing what to the dog? And? And? Yeah, I'm going to end it now while my phone charges, and then I'm just going to keep making videos, right? Because I can do endless. Should I put them all on YouTube to make it official? Enjoy the rest of your day, Malton. 10:56 a.m. for you and your work and your jobs in your Canada. Yeah, your justice, your court, your police, all your services, your victims. 6 years? Oh, don't forget your racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, your Malton moms, your Malton, your Peel region, your Mississauga. Enjoy.